Welcome back, everybody. My name is Nadia, host for sportsbookreview.com, and with us today we have Dave Golikoff, who's our SBR consultant. So we're going to be talking today about the newly released schedule for the NBA season 2014 and 15. Dave, let's get right into it. I have here, well, we can basically anticipate certain variables. Some of them are a little bit tough to anticipate, such as injuries for the athletes. But what do you reckon we should be focusing on, should be focusing on these first 2 weeks of NBA games?
Well, I think really with the NBA, you go with sort of by the book is how I would put it. You know, you look at sports like the NFL, and it's really a crapshoot. I mean, teams can go from 2-14 to 11-5, like we saw with the Kansas City Chiefs last year. I think the NBA is more of a by the book type of a league. So I think in the opening couple of weeks, you go with your gut, you go with what everything looks like on paper. That's the first thing I would say. And then secondly, I wouldn't really worry about rest. Road games, I wouldn't really worry about as much. You know, when you're talking about February, March, you know, teams in back-to-back situations, teams in third games and 4 nights on the road, I think that's a challenge. But when you're talking about the first couple of weeks of the season, you know, you take a look at like a team like Oklahoma City. They're going to be on a long road trip at the beginning of the year. I wouldn't really worry about those road games as much as I would later in the year. Wouldn't worry about the back-to-backs and the rest. So really, those are the two factors. I think NBA pretty much plays out by the book, and the other factors, don't worry about the rest too much.
Okay, sounds good. And for the opening night, of course, the Spurs will be hosting the Dallas Mavericks. What do you expect from that game?
Well, what I do expect, I haven't seen the lines out yet. I'm sure they'll be coming out soon. But I expect actually the Spurs to be a smaller favorite than I think what the line should actually indicate. And the reason for that is, you know, repeating in the NBA as champs is difficult. I think people feel like sort of the Spurs kind of hit their high water mark and will be, falling, declining, I guess you could say, not falling off the table, but declining just because some of their guys are older. And then on the flip side, they've got Dallas coming in, a rival, somebody who's going to try to spoil the party. Dallas is a team that's done a lot in the offseason to try and improve. They got Chandler Parsons, Tyson Chandler. They're a team that's really going to try to measure themselves up against San Antonio. But again, I think this league plays out pretty much by the book. If you're thinking San Antonio is going to take their foot off the gas, I think you'd be wrong to think that. You take a look just back to last year. It's the team that started 13-1. So I think what you're going to see is a smaller spread than what we actually should see, and I think you're going to see Spurs win and cover. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense. But then on October 29th, Derrick Rose and the Chicago Bulls will visit the New York Knicks and Carmelo Anthony, followed by LeBron James playing his first season back at home with the Cavaliers, also against the Knicks. What can you expect from these games as well?
Well, I think the Bulls and the Cavs are going to be popular bets early on in the season, and I think you're going to have to be wary of some of those spreads. I want to see what the spreads on the Cavs look like and the Bulls. Those are two of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, expected to finish 1 and 2. But I'm curious to see, are these lines inflated a little bit, because everybody in the East is expected to be weak. But in these two particular situations, I definitely love betting against the Knicks. That's really my thinking here. Yeah, you got Derrick Rose back. He's going to be healthy. He's going to be fully charged up to go for the Bulls. I think the Bulls are improved, obviously, with Pau Gasol and the European guy that they got. Everything that we've heard about Derrick Rose from the USA camp is that he's been phenomenal. He's been the MVP of the team. So you got that. Everything looks good for the Bulls. And then the Cavs, of course, LeBron James coming to the team. Kevin Love very soon is going to be officially made, part of that team. Mm-hmm. Possibly Ray Allen, possibly Sean Marion. I mean, this team is just stacked. So I like those factors, but really why I like this bet here is you're betting against the Knicks. Again, going back to the previous point that we started with, the NBA is a by-the-book type of a league. You got a Knicks team that is pretty bare in the cupboard as far as talent goes outside of Carmelo Anthony. And then, of course, you got Derek Fisher coming in, new head coach, doesn't have a ton of experience. He's implementing a new offense. There's going to be a transition period for the Knicks, and I don't think they're that good to begin with. So I like the Cavs, I like the Bulls, and I don't like the Knicks. So when you factor those things in, I think you're going to see a couple of blowouts in these games.
Okay, sounds good. But before I let you go, Dave, I wanted to ask, do you have any last tips or suggestions you want to leave our bettors watching this?
Yeah, I think the NBA, I guess I would go back to the same point, say, reiterate it's a by the book type of league. I've said that a couple of times. So I don't think I need to reiterate it again, even though I just did. But injuries, obviously, not a big factor at the beginning of the season because, guys like Rose are healthy. February, March, I'd be curious to see how Rose is holding up at that point in the season. Back-to-back's not a big concern. Away games not as big of a concern. And the league is not really filled with too many surprises. We had Portland last year that kind of came out of nowhere. But other than that, this is a league that really typically plays out pretty much by the book. So that's really what I have for you as far as tips for heading into the season.
Awesome, Dave. Thanks for the inside info, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. For sportsbookreview.com, I'm your host, Nadia Holtz. Thank you for watching.